Tyreek Hill was caught sipping on something here on the sidelines this past weekend, and while we may agree on what he was drinking, the exact reason is probably not what you think. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Sutterer, and this is your #1 source for learning about the unique medical side of the world of sports. In this video, I'm going to teach you the truth about why what Tyreek Hill was drinking here is effective. As always, if you enjoy learning about this unique side of sports, please consider subscribing and be sure and follow me over on Twitter for more real-time breakdowns and analysis. And let's get started. Tyreek Hill has been dealing with some cramps, and we saw him here on the sideline against the New Orleans Saints, getting some massage on his hamstring, but most importantly, taking some drinks out of something that looked like a little shot bottle. We can all agree that most likely this was pickle juice and that Hill was drinking it to help with his cramps. Yes, pickle juice is effective for helping relieve cramps, but not because of why you think. Historically, we thought of his cramps being caused by dehydration and electrolyte balances. Our muscles rely on electrolytes to fire, and so this made sense, but we've found recently that this doesn't necessarily seem to be the case, and that what's probably more likely is fatigue with how our neuromuscular system is interacting with itself. That likely is what causes these cramps to occur, not necessarily electrolytes. This is a basic schematic of how our reflexes work in our muscles, but we also feel like this plays a role in cramps. This green and blue line coming from the muscle represent an afferent pathway of nerve signals that travel from the muscle and from the Golgi tendon organs in the muscle that respond to mechanical stress or stretch in the muscle and send electrical signals back up to the spinal cord. Then within the spinal cord, there's connections between the efferent nerves that travel to the muscles that tell the muscle when to contract and when to fire. In the case of a reflex, whenever we hit the tendon of the reflex, it stretches these Golgi tendon organs. That sends a signal back into the spinal cord, which jumps across to this efferent motor neuron, which causes the muscle to contract. Now, within this control system within the spinal cord, there's excitatory and inhibitory interneurons that help basically control and program this whole process. Researchers think that a lot of what's happening with cramps is we've lost the inhibition of this efferent pathway, and so we aren't able to basically shut off the signal that's telling the muscle to squeeze. Now, when people see someone like Tyreek Hill here drinking pickle juice, the common misconception is that the pickle juice, which is high in salt, very briny, is causing an electrolyte shift to help with the cramps, but that's not true. This has actually been studied. A paper that was released in 2009 in the Medicine and Science and Sport and Exercise Journal actually looked at inducing cramps and then determining what happened when somebody consumed a small amount of pickle juice versus water. What they found was that despite the high salt content of the pickle juice, nothing substantial actually changed in the electrolyte content and distribution within those individuals. The pickle juice was more effective than the natural course of cramps in the water, but it wasn't actually changing the electrolyte balance to help diminish the cramps. So what exactly is the pickle juice doing? Because we know it can be effective. So it turns out that different stimulations of an area of your body called the oropharynx, which is essentially the back of your throat, this can trigger reflexes that send signals to the spinal cord that can actually suppress and inhibit these muscle reflexes down below. Essentially, vinegar or acetic acid has been shown to stimulate this response in the oropharynx that then, if we go back to our picture here of this whole pathway, sends inhibitory signals down the spinal cord to actually diminish and stop this whole neuromuscular reflex. Now, this is something that's still being batted around a little bit because it's hard to 100% prove what's going on, but in this study, they actually measured blood levels, they looked at sweat, and so they could show that the electrolytes didn't actually change when someone consumed pickle juice. It was just more evidence for this whole neuromuscular control pathway, showing that the stimulation of the pickle juice in the throat caused neurologic signals to travel down the spinal cord and shut off this pathway going to the muscles. Pickle juice is thought to be effective in reducing cramps, typically around 30 seconds to a minute after drinking a small amount of pickle juice, but it's not for the reason that you think. It's not doing anything to affect the electrolytes in your blood or around the muscles in a quick enough or substantial enough way to shut off the cramp. What we think it's doing is it's causing a neurologic signal to be triggered from essentially your throat that travels into the spinal cord, goes down the spinal cord, and then works to basically shut off this whole reflex pathway that's causing the cramp to occur. So that's it for the video, everybody. Thank you as always for watching. I hope you learned something here about cramps and what exactly Hill was doing here drinking what looked like pickle juice. Let me know if you have any questions or comments down below. Until next time, we'll see you later.